Hello, everyone. The Battle of Pokrovsk continues, and once again, I encourage everyone to not follow Russian propaganda. Their statements that they have encircled Pokrovsk, that Ukrainian troops are surrendering, that is a lie. They're trying to get people in that area basically to submit in advance. Nobody's denying that situation there is very serious. At the same time, it is far from over. As I mentioned yesterday, Ukraine's special forces were directed there. Now, they tried to bring them in by helicopter. Of course, that didn't work, so that's fine. They'll figure out something else. I have faith in Ukrainian military. I have faith in Ukrainian soldiers. They will figure out something else. But again, the fighting still continues. Nothing has been decided. And again, the cost to the Russian military is truly astronomical. Again, as I mentioned recently, they have lost total 170,000 troops in that one part of the front. And that tells us two things. One, they don't care about the loss of life for their own soldiers, which dovetails nicely with the story broken recently that they torture their own soldiers and finish off their own wounded. And two, that the Russian army is nowhere near as all-powerful as they attempt to convince everyone. No surprise to anyone, especially to people on the ground in Ukraine, to Ukrainian civilians, but Russia had used the highest number of missiles fired at Ukrainian civilian infrastructure and Ukrainian civilians in the month of October. The total for October was 270 missiles. And that is up 46% compared to September. Now, the thing is that, once again, all of this has nothing to do with military gains. Nothing. And all of their claims that they're trying to protect Ukrainian people from the Nazis, which don't exist, this is all just bogus. Because how do they know that people they strike on the ground are Ukrainian nationalists? How do they know that? How can they prove that? When they strike another school, another kindergarten, another hospital, another maternity ward, how precisely do they know who is located there? Again, this is bullshit. Ukraine is not being overrun by Nazis. Nobody ever harassed Ukraine's Russian-speaking population. And as I mentioned before, I myself come from a Russian-speaking Ukrainian family. Nobody had ever persecuted us for speaking Russian at home or in the street or anywhere else. Stop buying into this shit. And since we're right around the time of the year when this whole thing started, now 12 years ago, I also would like to remind people that insisting that this was all NATO's idea or UN's idea or EU's idea or USA's idea is actually deeply insulting to people of Ukraine. Because what that tells me is that you yourself are so brainwashed that you cannot conceive of the fact that Ukraine would overturn a corrupt government, kick out a sellout, treasonous leader. Ooh, does that sound familiar to anyone? And fight for its own independence. While it's hard for you to imagine, that can actually happen, and that is what actually happened. Back to Russia bashing Ukrainian civilians. There's been a strike that hit a shop in Dniepropetrovsk region. I mentioned before, Dniepropetrovsk is a next door neighbor to my native Zaporizhia region. 2 people were killed and several others were injured. The shop itself was destroyed and 7 dwellings nearby were also damaged. And again, my question is, what precisely military goal was being pursued when that happened? Meanwhile, Ukraine is sticking with the plan to continue damaging the objects that are associated with Russia's oil industry and Russia's military-industrial complex. There's been a fire near the major oil terminal in the Black Sea port of Tuapse. The crew were evacuated, and this is a Rosneft-controlled oil refinery. I think Rosneft is actually one of the companies that were recently sanctioned by the United States. So, now, here's something that is a point of concern. And this is not oil right now. Remember, we talked about the oil. When it comes to oil, Europe has done extremely well, save for 3 countries: Bosnia, Bosnia, Slovakia, and Hungary. Nobody else in Europe is buying Russian oil anymore. The situation with natural gas is different. The daily natural gas supplies to Europe via the Turk Stream pipeline actually rose 5% in October. And my question again to Europe, guys, what are you doing? I understand this is difficult, but you have done so well disconnecting yourself from Russian oil. Please do better, because you understand that the money you pay to Russia for any resource, be it oil, be it gas, be it metals, anything, goes to subsidize the war in Ukraine. That's just how it is. That is the truth. I encourage all the nations of the world who despise aggression, suppression of free will, to stop trading with Russia. Do whatever you can. Find alternatives. Collaborate with one another. Figure it out. Because right now, anything you buy from Russia is basically used to destroy more lives, more businesses, more homes, murder more Ukrainian children. In other news, for those who follow this regularly and who care, today's Sunday, so I had a chance to talk to my parents. They are alive, but again, the situation in the Zaporizhia region also is very dangerous. There's constant shelling, basically daily, and the destruction is growing. More to come.